Good morning, everyone. I want to start off by saying that I understand there's been a lot of pain and stress for a lot of people surrounding the last few weeks. And our program has been working hard. Our coaches and team have been working hard during that time to get ready for the season, to prepare for the season in our first game against Oregon State. In our conversations, what we've talked about is how adversity can reveal character. And if we are an average team, the adversity will crush us. If we're a good team, then we can survive it. But if we're a great team, then we can actually get better from it. And I can sit here and tell you over the past few weeks, our team has gotten stronger. The team, the players, and the coaches have gotten stronger. We were down a man. When we first met, the first team meeting, we talked about how everybody in the room has to step their game up. And they have. The leaders and the coaches. What this coaching staff has done here over the past few weeks has been remarkable. Greg Schiano, Kevin Wilson, what they've done for me during this time is something that I'll always be in debt for. Their counsel and what they've done for me has been really something I won't forget. Our coaches and our leaders of this program have driven the program for the last few weeks. Regarding the details of the investigation, I know everyone in here has a job to do, but I was not part of the investigation. I was not interviewed. So I have nothing to add. And so today I'd like to talk about football and this team. Out of respect for everybody involved, I'm not going to speak today on the independent investigation, the report, or any speculation regarding it. And I hope everybody can respect that. It's been a while since Buckeye Nation has heard about their team and how the team's taking shape and what's going on with the group. And so I think Buckeye Nation is excited to hear about that, so that's what I'd like to focus on today. Two of the things that's been our motivation, one is the brotherhood. Playing for the guy next to you, playing for the team, that when we're in this meeting room, we're playing for the guys in this room. It's been a big part of what we do. And the other one is because of the tradition of Ohio State. We wear the scarlet and gray, we take that serious. And we know what that means to Buckeye Nation. We know that the people of Ohio, the blood runs thick with scarlet and gray. And so we work every day to make them proud. And we can't wait to get back in the horseshoe this weekend and go win a game together. So with that, I'd like to take any questions you guys may have.
Open up front row right, Dom.
Ryan, just being the head coach, acting head coach, has that been a whirlwind? What's that been like for you? And from a football standpoint, everybody wants to know about Dwayne Haskins. What kind of grasp of the offense does he have? And
Sure.
How comfortable are you with him?
Yeah, it has been a whirlwind. It has. But my goal in this thing was never to replace coach. That's not what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do is empower the coaches, empower the leaders, and just keep this thing moving. And I think we've done that. In terms of Dwayne's done a great job. Along with a lot of other guys, his leadership had to step up, and he's done that. And so throughout practice, he's gotten stronger, especially from the spring. And so as we prepare for this week, he's got to have a good week of practice as we go because he hasn't started the game before. And so that's a big part of this thing between Billy at center and JT at quarterback. There's a lot of experience there that we have to replace.
Third row middle, Dan.
Ryan, Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Being a first-time head coach going into a game here on Saturday, how much have you leaned on guys like Greg Schiano and Kevin Wilson to help you along?
A lot. And I have so much respect for both of those guys and for the whole staff. This is an experienced staff. It's got to be the best staff in America. When you think about Larry Johnson, Billy Davis, Alex Grinch, when you go through all the different guys we have on our staff, it's amazing. A lot of experience, real professionals. But like I said before, what Greg and Kevin have done for me is something that I won't forget. And their counsel has been amazing over this stretch. And I've learned a lot from them. Obviously, they've been in my shoes before. And so it's meant a lot.
And following up on that, you're also the quarterback's coach, you're also the offensive coordinator. How would you balance those responsibilities with the interim head coach responsibilities?
Well, if you saw me at one of the scrimmages, I don't know if you would have said I balanced it very well. I was trying to coach the quarterbacks, call the plays, and organize the scrimmage, and I looked like my hair was on fire. So it was a challenge. And there's been times where I felt like I've been drinking through a fire hose, to be honest. And the expectation of Ohio State is you win every game, and I understand that. So there's that added pressure there that you feel. But every day it's become more normal, to be honest with you. The first few days, it was a lot. And then after the first week, it became more normal. And every day it becomes more normal. And I think that the players understand that as well.
Far left, Matt.
Matt McCoy, 105.7 Zone. I'm just curious, how much, you talked about rallying around and dealing with adversity from a player's perspective. Has there been much conversation about what's going on outside amongst players, coaches during camp, or have you been able to, how have they dealt with that in terms of getting the work done?
Yep, well, one of the things that we do here is we talk about win the moment. That's our message to the kids. And what that means is that if we focus on the future, all it does is create anxiety because there's so many things we can't control. If we focus on the past, then we just get frustrated. So what we do is we want to spend our energy on right now. I talk to those guys in the meeting, and coaches talk about it in the meetings all the time, about how if you waste your energy on the past or the future, you're wasting it. You only have so much energy in the day. But I think the reason why it's worked is because we have small unit cohesion here. What that means is we'll have a quick message. I've tried not to be in front of the team very much, but what happens is the position coaches will then get their groups together, and then within those groups, the message is the same. And then they understand that it's not just this one big room, they have their position groups they have to pull for. And so I think those two things have helped us along the way, and the players have done it.
Just real quick follow-up. What are your emotions like going into Saturday?
Most what?
What are your emotions like going into Saturday as a head coach?
I've been taking it day by day, honestly. Just like the players win the moment, I've been trying to focus on today, and then tomorrow we'll focus on tomorrow, and then we just go from there because there is no script, so we've just been working forward.
Front row right, Austin.
Hey Ryan, Austin Ward from Letterman Road. In terms of logistics on Saturday and then the following two games, I guess, are you going to be calling the plays from the sideline? How will that all work?
Yeah, so Kevin and I have always worked together on that, but yes, I'll be on the sideline and calling the plays with Kevin, and the whole offensive staff has input on all that, but that'll be the plan.
So going into training camp, the last time we talked to anybody, Urban suggested that Dwayne wasn't definitely the starter, that Tate could push him during training camp, so we didn't have any daily updates on that. How did that race play out? I assume that Dwayne is in fact the starter, but how close did Tate make it? How prepared is he?
Tate made some great progress. He really did, especially in the last 2 weeks. He made a really big push. Dwayne will start on Saturday. He's the starter. But the plan is to play Tate. How, when, or anything like that, we don't know yet. But he's been getting better. And so, the two of them really got the majority of the reps because Matthew, still isn't ready from his knee. And so, all the reps that were had were really split in two. When Joe was here in the spring, it was split in the third. So, good news there was there's a lot of reps to learn from.
Do you have to be careful with Tate at this point because of what you mentioned there with Matthew and uncertainty with his health at this point? Do you have to think about caution and make sure that your backup is ready if something happens to Dwayne?
Yeah, that's a concern. That's why we ended up bringing Chris in as well to provide some depth for us there. So, like always, we like to keep 4 or 5 quarterbacks on the roster. So, building depth there is a little concern. When we lost Joe, that was a hit, and we all knew that going in.
Front row left, Mitch.
Mitch Stacy from the Associated Press. Up until last week, there was a lot of uncertainty about what was going to happen, who the head coach was going to be to start the season or whatever. Did you see any of that? The players, did you see cracks where they were talking about it, or there was some kind of indication that they're living under this cloud?
And not until last Wednesday. I think when on Wednesday when the press conference happened, it happened late at night, and then we got them up early in the morning, 7 a.m. to have a team meeting. They looked a little tired there. I think it wore on them a little bit. But honestly, up until that point, no. I mean, it was amazing. Guys were flying around at practice. The energy was good. The coaches kept this thing going. And so I would say 98% of the time, from when this started to right now, it's been great. And really, that's a tribute to the culture here. Our culture is strong, and the culture leads at Ohio State. And the culture that the leaders here, not only coaches, but the leaders of the program, the kids, especially our captains, have set the example for, is what's driven this thing for the past few weeks.
Coach, could I ask, can you just maybe step back and just move the mic up just a little bit? It's kind of,
Yep.
yeah, it doesn't have to be right in your face, but you can make it a little bit lower. We just wanted to get you a little bit better. Okay, second row right, Rob.
Ryan, Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch. You talk about culture. I'm just curious. You spent time in the NFL. How is that different? the oversight of players, just general oversight in the NFL is a lot different from here. How have you enjoyed it, and what's been the challenge? What is the challenge between NFL and college?
Yeah, I think that when you're in the NFL, it's a business for sure, and sometimes guys come and go on a weekly basis, and so sometimes it's hard to grab onto those relationships. If you're lucky enough to be in a place for several years, you can build those relationships, and I have several of those that I made in that short period of time. But that is a tough league, and a lot of guys get fired and hired, and a lot of guys get cut, and so that's the part of it that's hard. In college, first off, it's more of a family environment. I mean, my son is here all the time. My family is very much involved with that. And so that's the part that I really like. The other part is the recruiting. And then you're with guys for a long period of time. You're with them through 2 years of recruiting, and then you're with them through graduation. So you start to build those relationships as you go. And I think that's the bond that you share in college. It's a little bit different than the NFL.
So as a follow-up in the NFL, maybe a positive, maybe it's a negative. You don't have to keep track of every guy every night. I would think that would be a little easier on you.
Well, you're dealing with men. You're dealing with 20-something, sometimes 30-year-old men who have families and kids. So that is a little bit different than dealing with a 17 or 18-year-old kid. Yeah, sure.
Front row right, Clay, second row. Clay.
Hey, Coach. Clay Hall, ABC6, Fox 28. You sort of stepped in the breach here. How useful do you think these skills that you're learning on the job will be helpful down the road?
It's kind of learning by getting thrown in the fire a little bit, and one of the things that really helped me along the way was I got a text message, and I get it just about every other day from one of my mentors, Chip Kelly, and he says, "You're built for this." That's what he told me, and that's the thing I keep going to every morning when I wake up, is that I'm built for this, because there is no script, there's no game plan, and again, my goal was never to make it about me or try to replace coach. It's all about the players and the coaches and empower them, and that's what my instinct has told me, and so that's what we're going with.
You're the head coach. You're the acting, but you're 3 games. So is this the Ryan Day game plan, or has that already been handed down from Urban?
So, when you go through the preseason, that's a time where you kind of find your personality a little bit as a team. So, listen, the plan to win is never going to change. What we've done in the spring is really what we're doing now. Are there a couple tweaks? Yes, but the culture is the culture. It's 4 to 6, A to B, competitive excellence, and the brotherhood. The plan to win has never changed. So, that's the culture here, and the plan to win is always going to be here at Ohio State.
Second row left, Ari.
Ari Wasserman, The Athletic. Ryan, obviously this has been a tough time with the current team, but recruiting, it seems like you guys have weathered the storm pretty good. You've only lost 1 commitment and 2 classes. What's the response been like for you calling these kids during the time of uncertainty, and then what's the response been in the time since you have a solution to this?
Yeah, I think anytime you're dealing with recruiting, it goes back to relationships, and the relationships that the coaches here have built is strong. Also, the quality of the young men that we're bringing in here and the culture of those kids is as strong as any place I've ever been, and the support has been strong from those recruiting classes. I can't get into specifics or people, but we've probably talked on a daily basis with all of the kids. The communication has been, hey, listen, you can ask questions, we may not have the answers to them, but ask the hard questions. So there's been open communication with all of them. And because of that, they've all stuck together. I know that they all communicate with each other. And so that's been a positive.
And switching gears to the team, kind of a tactical question about the offensive line.
Yep.
Was wondering, when we saw the first few periods of few practices that Michael Jordan was repping at center.
Yep.
Do you have an idea of how he's going to be utilized? Is he going to be a center moving into
He
the
is.
season? And
Yep.
do you have any updates on just what the offensive line is going to look like?
Sure.
The guard positions too?
Yep. So Mike is going to start at center as of right now. We have to still go through the week, but coming out of preseason camp, he is the starting center. Demetrius Knox will be at right guard. Malcolm Pridgeon will be at left guard. Isaiah Prince will be at right tackle. And then Thayer Mumford and Josh Allaby will still be working through the week to see who plays there. They're still kind of working through that. Thayer's had a few nagging injuries. Josh has been working over at left tackle, so they'll kind of split the reps this week as we go into Saturday.
You guys thought going into this season, or it seemed like Braden Taylor was going to, be in line for that job. Can you just give me some of the reasoning behind making that move? Is it just trying to get 5 best offensive linemen on the field? most athleticism, and what went behind just the idea of playing around?
Well, Brady brings versatility. He's been playing some guard, he's been playing some center, so we plan on him playing as well. I think that Mike brings some experience, and anytime you have to replace someone like Billy Prince, there's a lot that goes into that. And so it's still a work in progress. This is not something that we've made a decision on for the season. And so, Brady did have a couple, nagging injuries along the way too that he keeps working through. But our plan is that Brady's going to play as well, along the way.
Back row left, Dan.
Dan Murphy from ESPN. I think there are some people that would see referring to this only as football adversity as minimizing a serious issue. Have you used this at all to talk to the team about their core values and respecting them?
So, our core values here are talked about on a daily basis. And I can't imagine there's one day that goes by where we don't talk about our core values. And one of them is the respect for women. And so we talk about that all the time. We talk about how, especially in this time period, all of our guys are in a fishbowl. And so they have to be really careful too who they are with and where they spend their time. So yes, that's addressed consistently with our guys.
Have you seen any issues with Urban Meyer and his coaching that memory has affected his coaching at all during your time here?
No, I haven't.
Front row right, Bill.
When they asked you to take over as acting head coach, considering you've never been a head coach, Greg Schiano has, Kevin Wilson has, how surprised were you?
I was very surprised. It did catch me off guard. It was one of those things where you just wake up the next day and you think, is this really happening? And then you just kind of put one foot in front of the other. I don't think anyone could have expected any of this.
And one more about Haskins. JT was obviously an unquestioned leader. We know that Haskins has the arm. What have you seen from him in terms of the intangibles that lead you to believe that he can be successful in all aspects of being a quarterback?
No, he's very talented. He's worked hard in the offseason to change his body. And that's something that Mickey Marotti's done an unbelievable job of. And I probably, I know I did. I didn't do enough justice to what Mickey Marotti's meant to this program during this time. Mickey Marotti is the heart and soul of this program. And what he's done for everybody here during this time is amazing. He has the pulse on this team. He works with these guys in the summer, and he is the guy behind the scenes that keeps this thing together. He is the glue. And so I digressed a little bit right there, but I just want to make sure I hit that because he is a huge part of this program. He has built a culture, and he is really important to everyone here. But going back to Dwayne, again, has a lot of talent. He's very talented throwing the football. He's worked on his athleticism, strength, power. And so you saw at the end of the season last year when he had to step into a role, he stepped right in there and he was ready to go. But now being a starter, that's different. You have to prepare different. You have to be ready. Teams have film on you and they start to see some of your tendencies. So it's going to be a week-to-week process as we get going. And he has never started a game. So it'll be a work in progress, but we're very happy with where he's at.
One more quick one. Brian Hartline has taken over as wide receivers coach. Could you elaborate on what he has done, how he has adjusted to that role?
Brian's, again, in short notice, has stepped in and brought a lot of energy. He's got great experience. He's sat in their seats. He's played wide receiver at Ohio State. He's played in the NFL, so he has great experience that he can, obviously relay to those guys. But he's done a great job so far.
Front row left, Bill.
Bill Landis from cleveland.com. Bill Urbano was kind of touched on this, but when you were first named it, and I don't ask this implying that it was right or wrong, but there were two other guys who had head coaching experience on the staff. How did those initial conversations go with Kevin and Greg about, how you guys were going to work things out, and were they surprised maybe that one of them wasn't the one who was chosen?
No, like I said, they've been unbelievable, and it's all been about support and how do we get through this thing together. Because, there were times along the way we didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring. And so it was all about what can we do for the team? How can we get this thing moving forward to have a successful season? Because at the end of the day, we need to put a good product out in the field on Saturday. And so that's what the focus has been.
And general health standpoint, is there anybody who won't be available for the game on Saturday?
So we've been very healthy. There's a couple guys in there that we're going to monitor through the week. But as of right now, there's a chance that everybody on the team can play. And that's, again, a tribute to Mick Marotti and the strength coach.
And you mentioned that you guys added Chris at quarterback. Would assume that he's on scholarship, and if he is, it seems like you might have to make a move there. Is there any change to the roster to bring Chris in?
No, we're at 85 with Chris.
You're at 85 with Chris?
Yes.
So somebody's not then?
we're at 85 with Chris.
Front row left, Doug?
Ryan, how much, we know a head coach sets the culture, sets the structure of a program, obviously. But when all that's in place, how much does a head coach matter on game day on Saturday?
Well, that's like anything else. I think some of the best coaching is done during the week. The decisions that are made during the week in terms of strategy and what you're doing on the field. I think that the stuff that's done in the off season in terms of finishing and toughness and willing to go out there in the fourth quarter and go win a game, that's stuff that's done in the off season. So I think so much of it has to do with leading up to the game. During the game, obviously, the motivation before the game, sometimes the in-game decisions are important, but I think so much of it has to do with what you do leading up to the game and the decisions that are made midweek.
And when you get in the game, if it's 4th and 2 from midfield, how will you balance what Ryan Day wants to do in that moment versus what Urban Meyer would do in that moment if he was on the sideline right now?
Yeah, three-way decision making. When we're in those situations, I'll refer with Kevin and Greg, and we'll make the best decision based on the situation, the time, and just try to do what's best to give the team a chance to win. Yeah.
And the receiver group, we know traditionally Ohio State has rotated a lot of receivers. Who stood out? How do you have like 10 guys who could play?
Yeah.
I don't think you can play 10 receivers realistically. Who's going to play and how's that going to work?
Yeah, they're all going to play, and we have a great depth there, which I think makes us really strong because when you have receivers who can roll in and out of plays, that keeps them fresh. And think about, we have 3 captains in the wide receiver group alone. A lot of leadership there, but along the way, guys get injured too, so you need depth. But the plan is early on to play everybody, rotate them, get them in the game, play fast, and go.
Is KJ Hill just a H-back slot guy, or can he play outside too?
He mostly plays inside. If we needed him outside, we could use him, but he's mostly an inside guy.
And do you expect Damari McCall will have a role in there, or is he below some other guys?
Yeah, I mean, you look at what DeMario's done. He's spent time now at receivers. Before he was kind of playing a little running back along the way in his career, and then he get moved to wide receiver. So now that he's spent most of his time at wide receiver, he's improved a lot. How much he's going to play, we'll see throughout the week.
Front row right here, Tim, and we're going to get ready to wrap up, and I'm going to get everybody who I've made eye contact with, but we're going to wrap up here shortly. Go ahead, Tim.
Tim May, Columbus Dispatch. Ryan, who actually called you and told you you were the acting head coach?
Gene Smith.
Gene Smith. And what did he tell you? What was his message to you?
Well, it's just that I was going to be the acting head coach until we had more information about coach and the situation, and that just to trust my instinct along the way.
And what is the biggest thing you have learned about being a head coach? That's one thing that right now you didn't appreciate 3-4 weeks ago.
I mean, you do look at things a little bit differently. You notice things different. You notice the whole picture as opposed to just your position group or maybe your unit. You look at the whole picture. You look at how people walk, how they talk, how they look. Do they look tired? Do they look awake? Do they look rested or not? So just a view of everybody now, their perspective is a little bit wider.
What is the biggest decision that you had to help make personnel-wise during this preseason camp? Was it Michael Jordan going with him at center? Committing to that? What just stands out in your mind as the biggest decision you were in on?
Yeah, I think that obviously moving Mike to center was a big decision for all of us in the offensive staff, and it wasn't just me; it was everybody. Everything along the way has been a group effort. So talking to Greg Stradawa about what he thinks about the offensive line on a daily basis, and then making that move is probably the biggest one. Yeah.
Back in 1999 or 2000, when were you named starting quarterback for New Hampshire? I'm trying to remember what year it was.
That was 99.
What do you remember about that moment? What do you remember about the, butterflies, anxiety, whatever you want to call it, when you're going into your first game as a starter? What stands out to this day about that moment?
Well, I remember it was Chip's first time being an offensive coordinator. He called it double reverse pass. So that's what I remember. And then we went on to win, and we were playing at Rhode Island.
But to be the responsibility, the responsibility of being the starter.
I know what you're asking. Again, it goes back to just trust your instincts. And the whole idea that you've been working your whole life to be in situations like be the starting quarterback, and that you can overthink things, but in the end have confidence in who you are.
And obviously you've expressed that thought to Dwayne.
I have, yeah.
How often? How often do y'all talk about this?
Well, the thing we talk about with Dwayne is he doesn't have to be JT. He doesn't have to be Braxton. He doesn't have to be Cardell. You know, all the quarterbacks, they have to be themselves. And so whether it was when, you know, we were in Philly talking to Sam Bradford, or when we were in Boston College talking to Matt Ryan, or whoever, along the way, you have to find your own way to lead. You have to find your own way. Now, there are a lot of things that leaders have in common, and we share those and talk about those. But along the way, you have to find your own way, and that's been the message.
One last question. Y'all are opening with Oregon State. I don't think you've been asked about that. Brand new coaching staff they brought in and stuff. What do you know about Oregon State, or did you spend a lot of time looking at Washington and, you know, well, obviously you're on offense, but
Right.
defensively Colorado. But
Yeah.
I mean, but just in a nutshell, what's your take on Oregon State?
Right. So you know, Jonathan comes over and obviously has had a great career, and he's going to come in with a lot of energy. You know, they made the move to go to a defensive front with Tim Tibesar coming over from Wisconsin. So he was a linebacker coach last year, and obviously they have a great system. So they're going to be instituting that Wisconsin system of some 3 down, some 4 down, and they're very, very aggressive, and obviously been one of the best defenses in the country year in and year out.
Is it interesting you and Jonathan Smith are both 39 years old?
I did see that when I was reading up on it. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Second row left, Lori.
Lori Schmidt, 105.7 The Zone. Ryan, how different is this team with you running it, in that you are trying to avoid disruption, you are trying to establish some continuity with what Urban Meyer was doing, as opposed to if this was your team?
I haven't thought of it like that, because my goal has been just to keep this thing going. And I think when you come out to practice, you would see that the team is running just like if Coach was here. We've kept everything intact, and so that's been the goal along the way.
Saturday will be your first game as a head coach. I'm wondering who is going to be there for you from your family and whatnot.
Yeah, my family will be here. You know, we try not to make it too crazy and have everybody come in, because again, this isn't one of those things where I'm becoming the head coach. This is just something that I'm holding the place for Coach until he gets back, and the goal is to win the game against Oregon State.
And final questions, front row, Dave.
Dave Biddle from 24/7 Sports and Bucknuts. Ryan, Brandon Bowen was a guy that started last year, Brandon Bowen, and looked like he was playing pretty well through the first half of the season, and then got injured. Is he still banged up? Is he not ready to go this year?
Yeah, he has been dealing with that leg injury and coming back from it. It's been a little bit slower than he's liked, but he's still working through that now. But he has missed some time, and so I know he's been frustrated with that. But it's a long road to recovery with the injury that he had.
When do you expect to have him back?
I don't know right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then one final thing. You mentioned earlier Dwayne Haskins needed to change his body. Can you elaborate on that? Did he need to lose some weight? Just why did he need to change his body?
You can ask Mick that, but obviously, you know, the body fat and his composition, his strength, his power. You know, as a quarterback, you have to have some size. You have to have some mass back there. When you look at the great quarterbacks, they're big. You know, the guys who are frail and skinny, they don't make it. It's one of the greatest things about JT was how durable he was during all that time. And so, you know, it isn't just putting on fat, it's putting on muscle and mass, so that when you're in there, you can take some of the shots and still play through our season.
Coach, thank you very much.